Here,
Good
Josh.
morning, everybody. This is Jennifer. I'm with CORFAC headquarters, and I am happy to introduce our speaker, Greta Schulz of Schulz Business Solutions. Um, I, I'm just going to turn it over to Greta. We may have a couple people join as we get going here, but I'm going to turn it over to Greta. And if you have questions, feel free to jump in, or you can also put them in the chat, whatever you prefer. So Greta, take it away.
All right, sounds good. Well, gang, what I want to do with you today is I know you have an event coming up, and some of you are very experienced with these. We may be a little rusty because it's been a while that we've been out in the world, right? And then there's some of you that maybe haven't been to some of these. So I was talking to Jennifer and Jonathan, and I thought this will be a good idea to kind of give some tips on how to get the most out of this conference. Obviously, one of the things you're going to be doing is learning and interacting and all of those things. But how do you get the most out of the building of the referrals? Because there is a lot of opportunity for collaboration and referrals here. So I'm going to talk about that as well. In addition to that, hopefully some of the tips that I give you today, you also can take them back to your communities and utilize them there, because the way business grows today is really about collaboration, about networking, about building alliances. So that's great. I also asked Joe Santaluria to be on today, and I asked him specifically because we've been working together on some of this and he's had some success. So if you have some questions, I think he would be a really good person to, kind of give you his perspective, since he does what you guys do in Dallas. So let me go ahead and share my screen and let's start going through this. By the way, yeah, if you want to put something in chat or however is easy for you, this is very interactive, so we don't have to wait till the end for questions. Just whenever you have them, go. All right, so let me, okay. All right, everybody seeing the screen here? Are you guys seeing this?
No, I think it is.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened. Hold on. Let me do this again. Why is this not sharing? Are you guys seeing the sheet here?
I see it.
Yep.
We do see it. Yeah.
You do see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. I don't know why. Okay. So I want to talk through a little bit of this for you. And I have this set up like this so you can kind of look through it yourself, and you can take notes or whatever you need to do. So I want to talk a little bit about networking. The thing is, when we go to a conference, there's so many things that we want to do when we're there, but obviously you want to interact with people and you want to network. And I know in talking to Jennifer and Jonathan, you guys have quite a bit of opportunity to network together. And that's a very important thing for you guys to do. So I want to talk a little bit about when you are networking first. I'm going to give you some examples in your own community, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about this conference next week. So when you are networking in any kind of environment, you want to make sure that when you do that, you have some goals. And your goal should always be, when you're networking, to build what I call strategic alliances. And you all know what a strategic alliance is. It's somebody that you know, whether they're a complementary product or service to yours, whether they're just somebody in your community. It's somebody that you align with. And when you have opportunities, you give them referrals. And when they have opportunities, they give them to you. And I know you all have those. So I'm going to talk about the 3 types of those, and then we'll talk about specifically here. So number one, understanding what a strategic alliance is, like I said, is somebody that you meet with and give referrals back and forth. Well, that's the reason that you're networking. The one thing that you're not going to do, and obviously you're not going to do this at CORFAC necessarily, but even when you're back in your own communities and you're, at some sort of a networking event, whatever that might be, you are not there to prospect for business. What are you talking about, Greta? That's what networking's about. No, you are not there to prospect for business. You may find opportunities for business, but what you are there for is to find potential strategic alliances that you align yourself with, that they can help introduce you to people that you'd like to meet and vice versa. That's truly what you're trying to do when you network in general. So, first type of strategic alliance is a complementary product or service. And for you guys, let's say, for example, you're selling industrial. A complementary product or service would be somebody who's selling equipment, somebody who's selling, payroll, somebody who's selling insurance, something like that, to the types of clients that you're trying to get in front of, or sell to, or lease to, or rent to, or buy or sell, in any of those situations. Okay. Another type of strategic alliance is somebody that has the same customers, the same clients that you do. And sometimes these first two overlap, but sometimes what we're talking about here is a CPA. It could be an attorney who works with, properties and does commercial law or commercial CPA, somebody like that. Well, they have the same clients you do, but they aren't necessarily a complement. Okay, but those are the types of people that have the same customers. And then movers and shakers in your community they're the people that everybody knows, everybody likes, and everybody trusts. And if you got a call from one of them, you would take that call. And if they said, hey, I really want you to meet this person, I want to connect you together, you would absolutely take that. That is what I call movers and shakers. It's kind of a weird term, but we all know what it means. So that's your overall goal here, is at the end of this, and I don't mean today, but at the end of this whole thing we discuss, and as you move along in your career in this business, whether you've been in it a long time or whether you're new at it, what you want to be looked at as the person who is the mover and shaker. You are the connector in your community, the person that, oh my God, you know what? Call Joe, he knows everybody. If you want to meet somebody who does this or that, that's who you want to be, because that relationship is very important. So that's your typical strategic alliances. Now, who will you be trying to meet at this conference? So I want you to first think about that. Who are the types of people you're going to want to meet at the conference? Well, it could be people that you've spoken to, people that you've met through other CORFAC connections, whether maybe they were Zoom meetings, people like that. Joe, jump in. Who are the type of people you're going to be wanting to meet specifically? Like when you set goals for that, who are you going to be trying to meet specifically? I mean, you don't have to give me a name, but the types of people you want to be meeting.
Well, as we all know, there's three major food groups, or four. Bradford handles three of them. And so I'm an industrial, so I'm going to obviously float towards the industrial brokers in every major market and reconnect with the ones I've met and see if there's any new ones I haven't met at previous conferences.
Right. Okay, great point. So if any of you have specific areas that you're, whether it's industrial, whether it's retail, whatever it is for you, think about who are the people in those markets that are also doing similar things to you. So that may be one of the things that you want to do at the conference. Now, once you're there, what you want to do is you want to set yourself goals. And goals are, what am I going to do tonight at the dinner, tomorrow at the business, at the business card exchange, at the luncheon? If you want to set yourself goals, because the problem is we walk into these things and we shake hands and we kiss babies, right? And we really don't have a purpose. So it's very important that you set a purpose, set a goal. So let me just give you an example of what my goal is in certain situations. So number one, if I'm going to a general networking function, my goal is I'm not going to leave without finding at least 2 potential strategic alliances. And I speak to a bunch of people till I figure that out. Your goal here might be, okay, at tomorrow's luncheon, I'm going to make sure that I meet Steve Jones from ABC Commercial Real Estate, because he has similarities to me, and where he's located, a lot of our people have second locations. Right? So it could be anything like that. So I want you to think about, what could your goal be at each of the different events that you're going to throughout this conference? Okay, anybody else have some ideas now that I've said that, what you think you'll be doing, how you'll be doing this? Anybody have ideas on that? I see we've got a group of people here. And whoever you are, somebody's got to have ideas in that group. So what do you guys think? Who are the types of people that you're going to want to be meeting when you're there?
I think for us, so this is going to be our first summit. We just joined CORFAC a couple of weeks ago. But in terms of strategic partners, I think we're going to be looking at trying to find those in similar markets to ours. So I think California, probably the other Texas brokers, certainly. We've connected by phone with some of those. Yeah, Florida, New York, Chicago, actually, is a good market as well.
I love that. Okay, and that's perfect. That's what you want to do. So when you guys are done today, what I would recommend each of you do, but certainly you've got a group there, do some strategizing before you go. The whole idea is you want to plan this ahead of time, okay? So let's talk about that conversation. So we're walking around and you meet people and nobody really knows what to do. So again, I'm going to give you my example, right? Well, tell me, ask for their business card. Tell me a little bit where you're from. What do you specialize in? And then as you're understanding that a little bit, ask this: what's the best referral for you? Now, what they're going to say is anybody who does this. I want you to help them get a little selective, right? Because what people do is they say, well, anybody who's in my area, anybody who's looking for industrial is good for me. Okay, so talk to me specifically about what a really good client is for you. Okay, now why would you do that? The reason you do that is kind of threefold. One, if you want to show them that you're interested in them. Two, you're learning about what they're looking for. And sometimes you think it's one thing, and then as you dig a little deeper, you may really learn more about that. And there may be something you can connect with. The third reason is, which brings us to the fourth part of the conversation, is there somebody here that I can introduce you to? So why would you do that? Why are you looking to introduce people to others at an event like this? Anybody know why you do that? So let me tell you.
So you become the mover and shaker.
That's it. You become that person. That's how you start becoming that. You want to become the person at the event that if somebody wants to meet someone, you're the person they look to. And that really is a very, very important part of networking and building business together. This is going to happen for you in your own areas and here at CORFAC. So when you were at this event, what you want to do is you're going to learn, you're going to collaborate, but what you want to be is the host. And this is how I often think about it. So for those of you that are newer at this, or even if you haven't been there in a while, I don't care what anybody says. When you walk into a room and there's 100 people in that room, we all convert back to the high school dance. No matter how much you're looking forward to it, you go, oh my God, I'm looking into a sea of faces and we're super uncomfortable. So let me tell you what typically happens when we do that. We walk into a room and we first look around to find somebody that we know. It isn't necessarily somebody that we like. It isn't necessarily somebody we know real well, but it's somebody that we know because that connection is what we're looking for. Okay, if you don't find somebody that you know, you do to what I affectionately call the 3 Bs. You look for the bar, the buffet, or the bathroom. Okay, this is not new for anyone. This is what we do. So what I want you guys to think about is everybody else, or at least a lot of people in the room, are in the same situation. And those of you that are on this call, that if you're kind of old timers, you've been around, you've been doing this a while, you may have a little different feeling, but I have to tell you, no matter who it is, when you walk into a room, if you've been around a long time, you immediately look for people that you know. There's nothing wrong with that, but the idea is you want to meet new people. So the example I give is you want to be a host. So think about if you had a gathering at your home, and you and your spouse, your partner, whatever it is, you had a party at your house and they were inviting people and you were inviting people. If someone walked into your front door and you didn't know them, and this was your gathering, your house, what would you do? You'd immediately walk over and introduce yourself to them. That's what I want you to do here. Because somebody has to play that host, and somebody that goes over to someone and says, especially you see somebody looking around, go right over, stick your hand out. Hi, how are you? My name is. I know that's uncomfortable, but when you do that, you immediately make a difference for somebody. They immediately understand what that's about. Okay, so that's what you want to do. Now, as you go through these questions with these different people that you meet, there are some that are going to say, hey, this is what I do. Thanks a lot. And they'll be looking over your shoulder for the next person that they're talking to. That's okay. That person doesn't get it. And that's all right. Not everybody does. It doesn't make them bad people. What you're looking for is you're looking for the people that you ask those questions to, and they say to you, hey, Bob, hey, Steve, tell me a little bit about you. I mean, tell me about what you guys do and where are you and what are you looking for? It's that interaction, it's that connection that you're looking for, because that person gets it. When you find that, what I would recommend you do is set up a one-on-one coffee, meet the next morning at breakfast, that kind of thing. That's what you want to do, is you want to start setting up some one-on-ones. That's how you're going to start building what you affectionately, said that I said, which is being a mover and shaker. If you want to make a difference in this community of commercial real estate, at this event, you want to meet as many people as you can, and what you want to build those strategic alliances, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more in a few minutes. Questions, comments, have you guys done this? Do you do it? Does it make sense? Where are we on this? Okay. Thumbs up. What, is everybody afraid to say something?
I thought Jonathan was the key player here to introduce everybody.
He is. He kind of is that. Talk about that a little bit, Jonathan, which is funny because when I met Jonathan, I'm not sure that's exactly who he was. Go ahead and talk about that, John.
Well, I mean, number one, a lot of the people that are on this call are new, which is great.
It is.
So we have set up through the Affiliation Development Committee, chaperones, ambassadors, whatever you want to call them,
right,
for those new firms. So that'll help in the process to make sure that CSA or Darwin or whoever, is meeting the right people. And we've got them with, people who've been to tons of CORFAC conferences. The other things for the new firms, and when I say new, I mean, we haven't had a face-to-face conference in 18 months. Not only the firms that have joined this year, but the firms that have joined over the last year or year and a half, they're going to get some podium time at the opening session. So Joe Latina is our president, and he has an opening script, and he's going to call those folks up to the podium. And I've sent notes to those firms to say a few words about who they are, where they're from, what they're looking for, et cetera. So I don't know if that answers the question, but.
It does. I love that. And what's interesting, you're right. Somebody like Jonathan is going to be able to introduce you, but what you want to be able to do is almost play like he's saying that they assign kind of, partners or ambassadors, which is very important. And a lot of organizations do that. And I think that's important, but I want you guys to play that role. You can play that role. In addition to who Jonathan has set out, which you want to meet them and you want to be with them, you can do exactly the same thing. And you can meet a lot of people using this kind of, outline yourself. And you can kind of become that without being assigned that. Right. So we don't want to depend on Jonathan for all of that. Not that he isn't a world of knowledge and knows everybody, but that we want to be able to break out and do that on our own. Because what it does is it shows people, hey, look at that guy. He met a bunch of people, and that's how you want to do that. The other thing you want to do is you want to start introducing people to other people. Let's say they're like, I don't really know anybody here. Is there somebody here you want to meet? I don't really know anybody. Okay, well, I've met a couple of people. Let me introduce you to them, and bring them over and introduce them to somebody else. Even if it's not necessarily somebody you know all that well, maybe it's somebody you recently met. So I think that's really important. It's playing that role of kind of the host, which kind of brings you to that level. That's exactly what happens. Okay, Joe, throw in a little bit here.
Yeah, it's just, I like the CORFAC website, looking at the map and just playing bingo and just make I always do it after. I probably need to do a little bit before to refresh, but it's always, there's gaps of coverage and just making sure you have everyone covered, and it's all about referrals and collaborating.
Yeah, and I don't know whether you guys saw the string going on in the chat box, but we have, for your newer folks, we have a conference app, which typically 75% of the members download, and it's just everything at your fingertips. So we're going to send a link out to all of you soon, all conference attendees, with that app where you can download it, and on there you can look under attendees. And the beauty of it is we have pictures, I think, for almost everybody.
Oh, that's great.
So you'll be able to look at it and say, okay, so like CSA said, they're looking maybe in Chicago, and they can look up Darwin and say, oh, all right, when I see Erin, I'll know who she is, and that sort of thing.
Okay, I love that. I didn't know you had pictures with it. That's really good. So jump back up to set goals. Now you know. So do that prep ahead of time. If you have that opportunity, and not every organization gives you that. And I'm not sure I've ever heard anybody use pictures next to it if they can. That's huge, you guys. I absolutely would do that. Do your screening ahead of time.
Yeah, some of them look like bar mitzvah pictures, but at least the pictures there. So, yeah.
I'm not sure what a bar mitzvah picture looks like exactly.
It's just
but
a really old picture. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Can you use technology to do an age progression and take my old picture so it
Yeah,
looks like
right.
me today?
Yeah, right. Oh, that's funny. So when you do this, guys, when you do meet somebody, if you have lots of opportunity in between, speakers and different things going on, that you can meet people one by one. Do not end up in your room watching TV or getting on your laptop. Use this time to meet one-on-one. So let's talk about what that looks like. So set up some one-on-ones. I mean, you can have somebody join you at lunch if you want to do that. You can have somebody just meet coffee in the morning before a particular part of the event. You can do it anytime you want, but it's very important to set yourself those goals and do those one-on-ones. Because if all you do is meet people and shake hands and learn a little bit about them, there's no real depth going on. So you definitely want to set those one-on-ones, and there's lots of opportunity for you to do that while you're there. So let's run through this a little bit. Number one, when you get together with somebody one-on-one, remember, casually review that what you want to do is get together to learn more about them, their type of business, what differentiates them in their particular area, what type of clients they work with. It's really important to make sure you kind of restate the purpose. And you don't have to do this real tight. You can do this very casually, but you want to kind of restate the purpose of why you're getting together. You want to then ask questions about them, their business, what differentiates them. If they're in Chicago, what makes them different than some of the other real estate agents in Chicago? Why are they in industrial? How long have they been in that? Find out whatever it is that you need to find out about them and take notes. And the third one is really important. When somebody shares all that with you, ask them to, you're going to do the same thing, ask them to share a story with you about something that they've done over and above to help somebody. What have you done with a client of yours over and above what they actually needed? The reason you do that is because if you do that, number one, it shows them who you are. They remember stories more than anything else. And it's a lot easier for them to say, hey, I met this woman or I met this guy at a conference. Here's what he told me he does in that community. I want to set you up with him because if you're looking to open a second office there, this is exactly the guy you want to talk to. It's going to be easier for you to refer those people by telling a story, and it's going to be easier for people to remember you if you're giving a specific story about something you've done. So you're going to ask about that. And then once, you go through these, what's the purpose, ask questions. Once you do that, you're going to go through the same thing and you're going to come up with a story yourself. So it doesn't have to be something you yourself has specifically done. It could be your organization. You could say, here's something that we've done for one of our clients. You can do something like that. So there's a lot of different things that you can share, but it's very important to make sure that you share some kind of a story of what somebody did over and above what they've done. Just this is what I do. If you want to share a story and you want to have a couple of stories in your back pocket, depending on who you're talking to. Okay. Now, the fifth thing is how to introduce yourself. Here's what happens if you don't do that. People don't want to hear, hey, I know this guy who sells real estate in California, give him a call. That doesn't sound good at all. What I would say is, give the story. Look, I met somebody or I know somebody, he's got a great reputation in Los Angeles. I know he sold a couple of big properties, whatever it is. He told me a story about this, this, and this. Here's somebody I think you should talk to. So give a little bit of a story, get a little bit personal there. People feel a little bit better about that. Plus, if you're going to introduce someone, here's a couple of things I don't recommend. Don't say to them, call them and use my name. That really doesn't mean much. If you want to get, for lack of a better term, credit on both sides. So if it were me, I would send an email to that person and say, Bob, thanks so much for our conversation today or our meeting last week at CORFAC. I told you about, Bob Smith in California. I explained to you that Bob does this, this, and this. I have CC'd Bob on this email and I've asked him to reach out to you just so the two of you can align together and see if there's a fit. If not, that's okay, but I think it's worth the two of you meeting each other. And send that email and CC Bob on that, because then you are helping that person you didn't forget and you sent that information to him. You're also helping Bob that you're remembering him and you gave him a connection. So those are very important things to do. You want to do that in email. Okay. And the last one is plan your action steps. So if you have somebody you want to introduce them to, whether when you get back or when you're at CORFAC, you want to make sure that you say, you know what, I'm going to see him tonight. Why don't you meet me at the event tonight? And I'll make sure, if you look for me, I'll make sure I introduce you to him or her or whoever you're trying to meet. So plan those steps, be purposeful about that. Questions on that so far, guys? Okay. So I'm going to go back through this real quick and then I'm going to go to the next thing. Number one, make sure that who are you trying to meet at this conference? Plan it out. Most of you said, well, you have these kind of avenues that you're trying to, whether it's commercial, whether it's, whether it's, whether it's retail or whether it's industrial or whether it's, office, whatever it is, look ahead of time at that list, plan some goals for you. You may get there and it may change slightly, but you have to plan ahead of time. Set the goals for each of the different events that you're going to go to. Review what this conversation is going to be about and look to be the host. Remember, you're introducing people to other people. That's your job. When you find somebody that you think is a potential good connection for you, set up a one-on-one for them outside of there. I don't care if it's in the bar, in the lobby, in the hallway, doesn't matter. There's a lot of places you can do that, but set those one-on-ones up. Now, once you do that at your event, when you leave and you come back, you want to continue this relationship. So how do you do that? Couple of things. What you don't do is come back and start spamming people that you met with all sorts of information of things that you've done. That's not what to do. What you want to do is when you return, if you want to gather all that information. So I recommend putting notes on the back of people's business cards. That's just what I do when I talk to them, ask them for a business card, and I put some notes on there. Because unless there are pictures on there, I don't remember all of them. So I take notes. That's up to you. You can say to somebody, hey, would you mind if I took a couple of notes on your business card? I'm meeting lots of people and I want to remember this. That makes them feel good. You're taking an extra step in them. So I would do that. That's really important. The next thing is when you get back, connect with them on social media, all the appropriate platforms. If you're going to be on, for example, LinkedIn, look and see what groups are out there for commercial real estate. And is there specific ones for your line of business? I'm sure there is. So join those. The third thing you need to do when you get back is you want to write a handwritten note. Hey, Steve, so nice meeting you at the event. I can't believe that you've never been to, Dallas. Next time you come in, let me know and I'll give you a tour or whatever that is, right? Put a little handwritten note. What you don't want to do, and put your business card in there, because remember, they don't know you that well. What you don't want to do is say, and if you have any business to send it my way, go ahead and send it. No, it's not about that. It's about building those connections. Right. So that's really important. The next thing you want to do is you want to use Google Alerts. How many of you, show of hands, know and utilize Google Alerts? Okay, just a couple. So Google Alerts is really good. And I think you all should be doing that. And what I think you should do is you can maybe even do it before you go. So let me tell you what Google Alerts is and what it's good for. Google Alerts is something that Google supplies to you, and it's 100% free. All you have to have is a Google account, and that's a Gmail account. So set yourself up a Gmail account, go to Google, top right-hand side, it'll say like sign in or sign up. Click on that. When you have a Gmail account, when you go to, I believe it's under settings, it has a whole bunch of things it offers you. If you want to get right to alerts, just do, once you have an account, google.com/alerts. If you do that, it'll allow you to put absolutely anything you want in alerts. And when Google sweeps the web every day, it'll alert you that there is something that you've looked for that is matching that, right? So what happens is the first thing we always put down is our name. That's just who we all are, right? We put our name. I did it too. So if you put your name in there, put it in quotes, because everything Greta Van Susteren did came to me, right? So you have to put quotes around your name. But you want to do a couple of things. You'll put your name, you'll put your company. I get that. You want to put, yes, your competitors, but you want to put in there anybody you're trying to go after. Anybody that any organizations that you want to really align with that you met at CORFAC, you want to put them in there. And I'll tell you some really important things to put in there. Number one, if you are, and I'm just going to use Joe as an example, he's a industrial guy. So I would put something like biggest challenges in the industrial business, after COVID. Or the biggest challenges of opening a new business in downtown LA or something. So the other thing you want to put in Google Alerts is you want to put things that your potential clients are thinking about, are worried about. The reason you want to do that is because your job is to be an expert in that industry. That will help you with the other commercial real estate agents that are in and around CORFAC. Because if you know what you're talking about, then you show some expertise, you're going to get referrals from them and people are going to look to you for that. In addition to that, if you are, same thing, if you're in, if you're calling on retail businesses, what are the biggest challenges today, with CORFAC? What are the things that are most important to them? How have things changed in a particular type of business? So you want to think about the avenues of business that you work in, and you want to put those in Google Alerts. And the reason for that is you want to be considered an expert in your community. And when I say community, it could be the community of Chicago, or it could be the community of retail business. It could be the community of small to medium-sized offices. So community doesn't have to be geographic. It could also be industrial. I'm sorry, it could also be industry. So it's very important in Google Alerts to put things in there that will give you information to make you an expert. Obviously, you're going to put CORFAC in there, because the other thing you want to do is, if somebody at CORFAC, if Jonathan or Jennifer are putting out something about a new member or something that somebody got an award or something like that, you want to take that and you want to forward that to that person and say, hey, congratulations, I saw this. I'm not sure I met you at the last event, but congratulations, and I hope I see you at the next one, or something, right? You want to be aware of those things, and you want to make sure that you forward those through. They're very, very important. Any other questions or comments or thoughts on Google Alerts?
I can share a screenshot.
Please do.
And so people don't have to invent the wheel, and you could just plug and chug whatever's needed, if that's helpful.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. If you guys want to do that at the end, Joe, let's do that, and I'll have you show that. You definitely want to try to meet Joe at this event. He's got kind of this stuff down by now.
And
Okay.
and also a good newsletter to subscribe to is Thomas Industry Updates for the industrial guys. There's 5 or 6. It's maybe not startup companies, but companies that are growing, and they're not always in your market, but they usually have a good business developer in your market. So I've been subscribing to that as well.
Good.
And Greta, I would say also, especially for those who've never been to a conference, at 11 o'clock on Friday, we're doing the deal making session, where we'll have a few folks get up and give short examples of the type of deals they've done during COVID. But after that, we're going to break into specialty roundtables. So obviously that'll give you especially the newer folks, a good chance to see who's doing industrial, office, retail, investment, whatever it is.
I love that. When is that going to be, Jonathan? What's the day on that?
It's Friday, a week from Friday, and it starts at 11. So.
Okay. So if it were me, and that's what I was doing, I would go to that roundtable with those industries, and I would not leave that table without finding at least a couple of people that from that meeting, if you met a few of them, I mean, I'm sure they'll go around, everybody will introduce themselves, find a couple of people from those meetings to set one-on-ones outside of there. Whether you grab coffee, whether you sit at lunch together. Don't lose that opportunity, because if you're doing that, that's really important. The other thing is any of the speakers. I mean, I know Jared Katz from MDL is going to be a speaker. He's on a panel of some kind. Any of the speakers or the panel people, ask them. Listen, don't be afraid to do that. It doesn't matter how many years they've been in it. That's why they're there. So if you want to grab coffee with one of them, or grab a drink, or do whatever, ask them. Don't miss this opportunity. So those one-on-ones are really important. And any of the panelists are people that have been around a while. Either you know them and haven't seen them in a while, or you don't know them. That's a great opportunity for you to do the one-on-ones. It's the only opportunity you're going to get. You don't see them all the time. So you want to take every opportunity with the people that you think are going to be good to set one-on-one. So I love that roundtable. That's a really good idea, Jonathan. Okay, so that's where your goals are going to be set. Now, a couple of things when you're back in your community as well, because take this and bring it to the next level. And then where do you go from there? Number one, if you guys are comfortable with speaking in front of a room, there's a lot of organizations locally, and this will give you some practice. So maybe one day you can do it at a CORFAC meeting, but it's really important to make sure that when you get back to your own communities, if you like speaking, this is a wonderful time to go to some of those organizations and let them know that you have examples of things that you would talk about. Maybe changes in commercial real estate after COVID. Is this the right time to invest? And I just came up with quick titles. But there's a lot of things that are really important for you to build your reputation and build your expertise level in your community. That's why, I mean, you think about the guys that are speaking at CORFAC, guys and women. When I say guys, I mean women too. I am a woman, so obviously I'm thinking of that. But there are guys at CORFAC that are speaking on panels and being expert because they grew that. If you want to grow that quicker, that's what you do in your own community. So find out what organizations out there that might be potential good, maybe it's, business owner organizations that you can get in front of and give some tips and ideas. They only take 15, 20 minutes, and then there's a question answer. So you don't need a lot, but that's a really good idea. Again, the other thing about social media, you have to be top of mind. In social media, it's very important to, like I said, in LinkedIn, you want to get join particular groups. You want to put in there ideas and thoughts. And the best thing to do in social media is to pose a question. What do you guys think of this? How would you handle that? The reason that's so important is because people always want to give their opinion. So it's okay to send something and give information, something that you sold. I mean, any of that is okay. But if you have a question to ask, you will get interaction. And that's what you're looking for. You need interaction. So any kind of social media, try to pose a question and get some interaction with that. And it can be a question after CORFAC. How many of you went to CORFAC? What was the one thing that you got out of it? Here's what I got out of it. I love that. Something along that line to connect you. So I really think that's a good idea.
And Greta,
yes,
can I piggyback on that? So
sure, please.
Maybe it's a surprise, but so during his opening remarks, Joe Latina is going to ask everybody essentially to, if they're not doing it already, to start following CORFAC via social media, be it LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever it is. Because, our engagement has gotten a lot better, but we want to make it pop. So we're hoping by having a lot of people in a room and going, all right, for the next 3 minutes, take out your phone, go in, follow this, share something. And as a perfect example of how that works, and I'll refer to Mike Fuhrman here. Probably 6 months ago, Mike, I saw something where Berger was doing a deal with what is now our new firm in Reno. And I called Mike and I said, wow, congratulations. Do you think they might be interested in CORFAC? Because we didn't have a firm in Reno. It happened so fast. Mike made an introduction to me and the firm in Reno. And next thing we know, they joined CORFAC. So it was great.
That is great. And that's exactly how that happens. And you want to be the ones who say, if you're not a part of CORFAC, let me introduce you to them. And I really think you need to join it. And then if you do that with people around your community, that's a wonderful thing to do with other real estate agents that aren't involved in it. You can get them involved in it, and then you can kind of help them through it. Again, mover and shaker. That's how you become that. So that's really good that you guys are doing that. And I'll tell you what, if you're doing that, if you're all joining, or if you're already a part of the CORFAC, if you're going to download that link and you're going to join and follow, that's the best way to ask those questions. When you put a good question out there with a nice background, by the way, to just do text, nobody's going to read it. So put a nice background on it and ask a question and ask for some comments. That's how you get interaction. So when you first leave, you want to make sure you're asking things like, what's the one thing you learned out of CORFAC? What are you going to do differently because of it? I mean, Jonathan, you could even ask that, but for you guys, I would do that. Again, it makes you a leader, and that's what you're looking to do. You want to be the mover and shaker, the leader in that organization. Okay. So, okay. Things like, okay, Google Alerts, we already talked about that. As discussed, a great way to have Google work for you. Enter things like the name, the organization, the firm you want to keep track of, questions and statements to pull articles. Today's biggest issue with blank industry. I do biggest issues, biggest questions, biggest concerns, biggest changes. That's the kind of stuff that I put in there about different, different categories of industries or people or whatever. So that's how you'll get your information. But it's if you hear something or have an article, share it. Put it on your group in LinkedIn. Put it on the CORFAC group and say, what do you guys think of this? You want to be putting that stuff out there because that's what makes you a leader. And if you met somebody here next week you met somebody, make sure that, they are a part of that, and make sure that when you're interacting, they're there. That's what makes you the leader. Number 3 here is create tags or categories. So let me give you a little information here. One of the things that I've done, I use something called Infusionsoft as my CRM. And in that, they have something called tags. And basically, it's just categories. So I have people tagged as local. I have people tagged at, geographically different ones. I have people tagged as whether they're commercial real estate, whether they're whatever industry they're in, I have them tagged that way. And the reason you want to do that is you want to take your CRM and categorize people differently, because if you do find something on Google Alerts, or you pick up something from CORFAC that you read that comes across that app that you have, if you want to be able to copy that and send it to everybody that's tagged CORFAC, or send it to everybody that's tagged, whatever that, maybe they're talking about, maybe CORFAC puts something out that everybody in industrial, this is what they're, we did a survey and this is their biggest concern. Put that out to your tags or your category under industrial. So it's very important to make sure you categorize all of your people in your CRM. So when you want to send information out to them, you can send it to them specifically important to them, which makes you, again, makes you an expert in their particular area of business. Okay. The last thing I'm going to talk about here is setting yourself up. So at CORFAC, I want you to set goals. I want you to, when you're there, meet with different people, set goals from that round table, broken up into different industries. Make sure you meet people at networking, set up one-on-ones, go up to the people that are speaking, that are on the panels, and set up, a drink, coffee, whatever. Get involved with that. When you get back, I want you to do the same thing in your own communities. So break down your activities. What networking events are you going to? How many of those per month? And out of those, how many strategic alliances are you setting goals to meet? Are you in a charity or a service organization in your own community? Well, you certainly should be, because I think we're all pretty lucky. We're all still here. So let's join a charity, a service organization, whether it's your own community, whether it's part of the commercial real estate community, doesn't matter. Is there a leads or a referral group that you can be involved in or are involved in? Look around, see if there's one that makes sense for you. Are you on a board of director of some organization or a committee? If you're not, join it. And CORFAC has lots of opportunities. Jump in. Find out, I'm sure Jonathan's going to talk about it when you guys are there. Jump into that, find out which ones are important to you, and join them. Because especially for CORFAC, you're not going to have to literally drive there. It's going to be online. And that's how you build relationships, when you see people on a regular basis. So make sure you find out when you're there what opportunities there are. And then looking at all those things, what are your goals for strategic alliance one-on-ones under each of the categories that I just listed? That's the most important thing. That's what I want you to remember. That networking and alliance building, you need to bring to this conference next week, and then you need to take it out of there and start doing that in and around the CORFAC app, in and around the groups that are relevant for you on LinkedIn. If you have a Facebook page, if you have, even Instagram is good for you guys, because there are pictures, you have something that's actually, you can see, that may be something good too. So whatever the social media is that's right for you, you have to take it to the next level here. And LinkedIn is really it's the online version of what we're talking about with networking. And so is the CORFAC one. So it's very, very important to be a part of all of that. So I want each of you to, as we wrap up, I want you to give me the one thing that you picked up today that you're going to commit to do next week at this summit. Joe, I'm going to have you go first.
At the strategic roundtables, where they're the breakout sessions, I got to make sure that I'm sure I'm mostly covered, but I got to make sure I'm covered with everyone at that table because that's where it's just so industry specific and tailored to my needs.
I love it. Okay, so I don't have names under each one of your pictures. So Jonathan, can you help me out with, I don't know everybody's name, but I want everybody to go around and give me one thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would just maybe turn it to Chris now and his group down in Austin and.
Sure.
Okay, let's do that. Oh, you're in Austin? That is the coolest damn town. I was talking about that the other day. That's the coolest town. God, I love that place. Anyway, go ahead.
In Austin, our favorite topic of conversation is how great Austin is. So
Yeah, I bet it is.
tell everybody about that at the summit. No, I think the takeaway for us is to be very strategic about what we do. So we'll sit down before we leave for Chicago and make a plan and how we're going to execute on that. And we'll be meeting with Joe as well, who can help us out with that tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because you're both in Texas. I mean, it's perfect. And he's been doing this a while. I think that'll be great for you. But yeah, Austin is cool. Just saying. Okay. And then, all right. I don't know. Let's see.
Should we go to Erin? Erin, you want to say something? Erin, she's in Chicago with Darwin.
Yes, I'm at Darwin in Chicago, and I think, well, I am not actively a broker. I do a lot of management and administrative for Darwin. We're industrial, and we are hosting a cocktail party on Friday. And I think playing the host and trying to make connections to all of our staff and brokers will be there on Friday, and trying to help make those connections and introductions.
That's a great idea. By the way, that's something, and it may be short notice for you guys to do now, but Joe can even tell you about this at the event, but I do something called a strategic roundtable, and you can do that at the event. I think Jared from MDL is I think he said, if you come and introduce yourself to me, I'll buy you a drink or something like that. I mean, it's about getting people together. So for you guys, Aaron, is Aaron, right?
Yes.
Yes. To set that up, that's great. Those are great things to do at those things, especially like the night before, or people are starting to get in. There's not a lot of specific stuff that maybe CORFAC has put on yet. That's a great way to do that. I love that. Great idea. Okay.
How about we go to Will in Louisville?
Yes, this is Will Duncan. We are new to CORFAC, been a member of just a year. So, I really want to work on, connections with those states that are, contiguous to Kentucky.
Yes.
Developing relationships with those in Ohio. We've been working with the St. Louis office in Tellica, Tennessee offices, those that are in our region, that there is some cross business opportunities. That's what I'm going to try to work on.
So then what you need to do is look at that list ahead of time from the app, like Jonathan talked about, see who's there, see who you think is going to make the most sense. You don't have to have blinders on, but you want to make sure you keep those people in mind, because that's a very specific goal for you, and it's a good goal to set. Okay, good, like it.
Let's go, Michael in Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, hi. So one thing that I'd like to do is some one-on-ones. So I'm going to be looking at the app. I'm going to be looking at who does what I do, which is office and industrial tenant rep, and who might have offices and do work in the areas where my clients might have needs. So I can talk to them, get to know them, see if that's the right person, or who in their firm would be the right person to work with if and when I have a client that has a need in another state. And of course, let them know what I do, but primarily I want to see who I can help and try to make some more connections. I've had good success through the CORFAC network, so I want to continue that.
So you said something really important. You said who I can help. And if you go in with that attitude, you will grow your business. By the way, I have a guy, you're in Fort Lauderdale, I'm in Palm Beach County. I'm up in Palm Beach. And I have a guy who's really well known in commercial, but he's up here. I don't know if you call up here, but he might be a good connection for you just to grab lunch or something like that. If you want
Who was that? My office is actually in Boynton.
Oh, so now, yeah, you're probably, maybe it's a competitor, so that wouldn't work, but I wasn't sure where you were, right? But okay.
Right. Greta, did you do a training for Cushman and Wakefield back in 2015 or 2016?
Probably, yes.
Yeah, down in the Mandarin.
Yes.
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 I was there. Yeah, I remember.
I'm old. I've been around a long time. I do a lot of stuff.
Me too,
Really
me
old.
too. You're not old, but I am.
You're seasoned.
I'm seasoned. There you go.
I just got a haircut. You can see all the gray hair coming out.
Well, you don't see
Oh,
mine.
patina.
Every 6 weeks, mine goes away. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Josh with TRI in California.
So I've been told I'm now chairing or moderating one of the breakout sessions on Friday. So
Oh, good.
like you, Jonathan, I will do my best to introduce people I know to people I don't know. And then obviously in the retail group, talk about pertinent information that we can all share with our individual markets, and I'll make more deals. Lots of point of this is creating relationships to where I know a guy in this town who I can refer wholeheartedly because I know him. That's the real key.
It
Meet
is.
people, say hello, shake their hand, remember their face.
You're exactly right. Good job.
And I know the two remaining folks are on mute right now, and they're with companies that have already spoken, but Patricia from Darwin and Suzanne from Duncan, anything to add?
This is Suzanne Cheek, sitting near Will Duncan in the office in Louisville. I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking forward to first getting out to a real estate convention, meeting the people with CORFAC in the surrounding area. I specialize in land, either acquisition for people or monetizing land. So I really, being based in Louisville, want to connect with industrial brokers and learn what I can because of UPS and the activity in Louisville. So I've really got my ear to the ground looking for industrial education and contacts.
Oh, wow. This will be perfect for you. What a great opportunity for you. And you can really strategically go after that because you know what you're going for. I like it.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then Patricia, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I was just gonna say, like, the point about like taking notes on the back of the business cards and then like following up with a handwritten note afterwards. So
Yeah, because, and again, that's because you're meeting so many people. And if you're asking somebody about them and taking notes, they already say, wow, this person actually does care more than just looking over my shoulder to the next person. And then a week or so later, they get a note from you handwritten. It's very,
Yeah.
very powerful. Then you get on the app with CORFAC and you join some of the other social media things. That's how it starts happening. Then it doesn't matter how new you are or how long you've been in this business, you can make a difference very quickly if you do it purposefully. And that's the whole idea here. So, this is just the beginning. Your meeting is just the beginning. When you get back, you're going to be in the app. You're going to be, asking questions, sharing things, all of those things can continue throughout. Just because there's not a conference every month doesn't mean that can't continue. So you just have to be conscious of it and be very strategic with the way you handle this.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. And I would just add that we'll be sending the link out to the app, the conference app, very soon. And Jennifer and I were kind of going back and forth during the meeting. We're going to take the recording here and send that to all the folks that are coming to the conference. So if people want to listen in on this, they can. You guys want to re-listen it, you can do that as well. So.
Yeah. And what's just as final thoughts here, what's funny? A lot of times I'll do, a keynote or something. And I'll do it at the very beginning of a conference, and I will teach everybody this right at the beginning. And then I'll ask everybody to do this. And even though everybody wants to meet others, it's always that, like I said, the high school dance, it's a weird feeling. So when I do that, people kind of, okay, she told us we had to do this, let's meet. And it forces you, it's almost an excuse to do it. So you have that now. And many of you, you all seen each other here. You've gotten to know each other just a little bit on this. Joe and a couple of people, you've heard me mention them a few times. Make sure that when you're there, you seek out the others on this group. I mean, that's immediately people that you know. And if you've never been to one of this conference, now you've got other people in common. So, you know, you want to start that way and kind of work together and introduce each other to, and you'll have a wonderful conference and you'll make a lot of connections. So I think it's really, really important. And you've got what, half a dozen or a dozen actually people here or so that you can immediately start with. So I like that. Okay. Anything else? If you guys have, you hang up and you go, you know what, I should have asked Greta this. It's Greta at Schulz Business. I'm sure probably the invite you have, it probably has my email on there, but if it doesn't, it's Greta, Greta at Schulz, SCHULZ business.com. Email me any question, any thought, anything, and I will get it back to you. And I'm sure you'll have a wonderful, wonderful summit next week.
Thanks, Greta.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you all for being here.
Have a great one.